The cavernous hall of the interstellar council chambers echoed with a cacophony of alien languages, translation matrices humming with the constant chatter of a dozen advanced civilizations. Holographic displays flickered around the circular platform, casting prismatic shadows across the assembled delegates. At the center stood Admiral Sarah Chen, her midnight blue uniform crisp and unadorned save for the subtle insignia of the United Earth Aerospace Command. The Arconian representative, a towering crystalline being named Zorik, loomed over the human delegation. Its multifaceted form shifted with what could only be interpreted as contemptuous amusement. Beside Zorik, the Velox Confederation's ambassador, a serpentine creature named Lyra Kai, allowed a thin, almost imperceptible smile to play across her scaled features. The human proposal, Zorik began, its voice a resonant blend of electronic harmonics and telepathic undertones, represents what can only be described as an embarrassing misunderstanding of galactic naval architecture. A ripple of laughter cascaded through the chamber, a multilingual chorus of derision that would have crushed lesser representatives. Sarah Chen remained absolutely still. Her dark eyes, framed by the distinguished lines of experience, swept across the chamber with a calm that seemed to unsettle the assembled aliens more than any aggressive posture could. Behind her, a holographic display began to unfold, schematics of the proposed human fleet, rendered in precise, almost artistic detail. The schematics told a story of innovation that the aliens were too dismissive to comprehend. Where other species designed ships as rigid, single-purpose machines, the human design suggested something entirely different. Modular components that could reconfigure mid-mission, energy systems that appeared to breathe and adapt like living organisms, communication arrays that hinted at capabilities far beyond traditional quantum communication. Lyra Kai's serpentine form leaned forward, her translation matrix picking up Chen's measured response. Our fleet design represents a fundamental reimagining of space-based infrastructure, Chen stated, her voice calm and precise. We are not presenting a weapon. We are presenting a philosophy of exploration and adaptive potential. More laughter erupted. The Kreltheri delegation, insectoid beings whose civilization predated human existence by millennia, clicked their mandibles in what could only be described as patronizing amusement. Exploration. One of them chirped. Your species has barely touched the edges of your own solar system. What could you possibly know about true exploration? Chen's hand moved almost imperceptibly, activating a secondary holographic display. Suddenly, the chamber was filled with a comprehensive breakdown of human technological achievements over the past 50 years. Breakthroughs in quantum computing, revolutionary medical nanotechnology, climate restoration projects that had transformed Earth from a potential ecological disaster to a model of sustainable development. The laughter gradually subsided. Zorik's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly, the internal luminescence flickering with something resembling uncertainty. The comprehensive data presentation was unlike anything the Council had seen, not a boastful display of military might, but a nuanced illustration of human potential. We do not seek to intimidate, Chen continued, her voice cutting through the now silent chamber. We seek to collaborate. Our fleet design represents an invitation to reimagine what is possible when diverse civilizations approach technology, not as a means of domination, but as a pathway to mutual understanding. The silence was profound. In that moment, something fundamental shifted in the Interstellar Council's perception of humanity. What had begun as mockery was transforming into something far more complex, a mixture of curiosity, respect, and a dawning realization that they might have gravely underestimated this young species. Little did they know how profoundly that underestimation would be challenged in the moments to come. Deep within the Lunar Research Complex, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez studied the holographic projections with an intensity that bordered on meditation. Surrounding him were the most brilliant minds humanity had assembled, a team that defied traditional scientific hierarchies, drawing expertise from every corner of the globe and beyond. The Quantum Energy Condensation Project had begun as a theoretical exercise, dismissed by most mainstream scientific communities as an impossible dream. Rodriguez remembered the early days, when funding was scarce and hope even scarcer. Now, the impossible was taking shape before his eyes. A holographic model of their breakthrough technology rotated slowly in the center of the lab. What looked like a simple energy core was actually a revolutionary system that could manipulate quantum states in ways no other civilization had even conceptualized. Traditional propulsion relied on massive energy expenditure and linear thinking. Humanity's approach was fundamentally different, organic, adaptive, almost alive. Dr. Priya Sharma, the team's quantum mechanics specialist, approached with a tablet filled with complex calculations. "The latest simulations are beyond our initial projections," she said, her voice a mixture of scientific precision and barely contained excitement. "We're not just talking about improved energy efficiency. We're looking at a complete reimagining of how energy can be managed, stored, and transformed." The core principle was deceptively simple yet monumentally complex. Instead of treating energy as a static resource to be consumed, the human team had developed a method to create quantum-entangled energy matrices that could adapt, redistribute, and regenerate in real time. Each energy unit became more than a power source. It became a living, responsive system. Rodriguez walked to a massive window overlooking the lunar landscape. Artificial gravity generators and radiation shields created a perfect working environment, a testament to human engineering prowess. Outside, construction drones moved with a precision that seemed almost organic, assembling components of the fleet that would soon challenge galactic perceptions. "It's not just about the technology," Rodriguez murmured, more to himself than to his colleagues. "It's about the philosophy behind the technology." The team understood something that most advanced civilizations had forgotten. Technology was not just a tool, it was an expression of a species' collective imagination. Where the Arconian supremacy saw technological development as a linear progression of power, humans saw it as a collaborative, adaptive journey. Dr. Elena Martinez, the team's materials science expert, brought up another holographic display. It showed the molecular structure of the fleet's hull, a revolutionary composite that could self-repair, redistribute impact energy, and adapt to different environmental conditions. "Traditional ship design is about resistance," she explained. "Our design is about responsiveness. Each molecule can communicate with its neighbors, creating a living, breathing system." The implications were staggering. A human ship wouldn't just travel through space, it would interact with space. Environmental challenges that would disable other civilizations' vessels would become mere data points for these adaptive systems. Rodriguez's communication device chimed. A message from Admiral Chen. "Preliminary council response indicates complete misunderstanding. Continue development. Our strength is not in showing power, but in demonstrating potential." The team exchanged knowing glances. They were doing more than building a fleet. They were constructing a statement about humanity's approach to technological development, collaborative, innovative, and fundamentally optimistic. As the holographic models continued their silent dance of potential, Rodriguez understood that they were creating something far more significant than a means of space travel. They were crafting a new language of technological communication, one that spoke of adaptation, cooperation, and boundless imagination. The quantum energy core pulsed softly, a heartbeat of human innovation waiting to be unleashed upon a galaxy that had yet to understand its true potential. The lunar and Martian orbital shipyards pulsed with a rhythm that defied traditional understanding of industrial production. From a distance, they looked like living organisms, massive, interconnected structures that seemed to breathe and adapt with each passing moment. What appeared to be a simple construction site was actually the most advanced manufacturing ecosystem humanity had ever conceived. Chief Construction Coordinator Jun Wang stood on the primary observation deck, watching as swarms of autonomous construction drones moved with a precision that bordered on artistry. Each drone was more than a simple machine. It was a node in a vast, intelligent network that could communicate, adapt, and problem-solve in real time. The shipyard's core philosophy was fundamentally different from any other spacefaring civilization's approach. Where most species saw ship construction as a linear hierarchical process, humans had transformed it into a collaborative, adaptive ecosystem. Each component was designed not just to function, but to communicate, to evolve, to respond to challenges in ways no previous engineering system had achieved. A holographic display tracked the progress of multiple ship constructions simultaneously. Unlike traditional shipyards that might produce identical vessels, these ships were unique, each one a living testament to human innovation. Molecular assembly lines could reconfigure themselves in moments, adapting to specific design requirements that might emerge during construction. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, the lead systems integration specialist, approached Wang with a series of updated schematics. The latest quantum communication tests are showing capabilities that exceed our initial projections, she reported, her voice a mixture of scientific precision and barely contained excitement. We're not just building ships. We're creating adaptive ecosystems that can think, respond, and evolve. The construction process told a story of human potential. Advanced AI systems worked alongside human engineers, but not in the way most would imagine. These were true collaborative systems, the AI not replacing human creativity, but amplifying it. Each design decision was a dance between human intuition and machine precision. Nearby, a group of young engineers from a dozen different countries worked on a particularly complex propulsion system. They represented a cross-section of humanity that would have been unimaginable just decades earlier. A true global collaboration that saw beyond national boundaries, focused entirely on pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Wang watched as a massive ship frame began to take shape. Its exterior looked deceptively simple, smooth, almost organic lines that belied the complexity of its internal systems. Traditional alien ship designs were all sharp angles and rigid structures. Human ships seemed to flow, to breathe, to exist in a state of perpetual potential. We're not just building a fleet, Wang murmured to himself. We're writing a new chapter of human potential. The molecular assembly lines continued their intricate dance. Quantum-entangled communication systems were woven into the very fabric of each ship. Energy management systems that could redistribute power with a speed and precision that would seem like magic to other civilizations. Adaptive hull materials that could self-repair, redistribute impact energy, and change their molecular structure in response to environmental challenges. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, no relation to the earlier Dr. Rodriguez, approached with a new set of diagnostic reports. The interdisciplinary approach is paying off, she explained. Our marine biologists worked with our quantum physicists to develop a hull material inspired by deep-sea organism adaptations. Our climate restoration experts contributed insights into energy redistribution that came directly from their work on global environmental management systems. It was a uniquely human approach, breaking down the walls between scientific disciplines, seeing connections where others saw only separation. Each ship was becoming more than a machine. It was a living representation of human potential, collaborative, adaptive, endlessly innovative. As the construction continued, something profound was taking shape. More than a fleet, more than a technological achievement. Humanity was preparing to make a statement about its place in the cosmos. The Galactic Threat Assessment Conference had always been a predictable affair. Decades of ritualistic posturing, diplomatic maneuvering, and carefully managed presentations had transformed the event into little more than an elaborate performance. This year would be different. As the various delegations took their positions, a palpable tension filled the massive conference chamber. Holographic displays flickered with standard threat assessment matrices, predictive models that had remained largely unchanged for centuries. The Arconian representatives adjusted their crystalline formations, the Velox Confederation representatives coiled their serpentine bodies, and representatives from a dozen other advanced civilizations settled into their designated spaces. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the periphery of the main platform, her presence both understated and commanding. Behind her, a simple control interface awaited activation. Nothing about it suggested the revolutionary demonstration that was about to unfold. The conference chair, a multi-limbed representative from the Krulthari Collective, began the standard introductory protocols. Delegates of the Interstellar Council, we gather to assess potential threats and maintain the delicate balance of galactic stability, the being intoned, its translation matrix rendering the words in multiple languages simultaneously. Chen's finger hovered over a simple touch interface. The room had no idea what was coming. With a precision that seemed almost casual, she activated the fleet demonstration protocol. The chamber's massive holographic system came alive with a display that defied everything the assembled delegates expected. Where most species would have presented a linear formation of ships, the human fleet materialized in a complex, three-dimensional matrix that seemed to breathe and adapt in real time. Each vessel was not just a discrete unit, but part of a living, responsive system. They moved with a fluidity that challenged the very concept of space navigation. The Velox Confederation's lead analyst leaned forward, mandibles clicking in confusion. The ships were changing, not just in position, but in actual configuration. Molecular structures seemed to flow and reshape, adapting to potential scenarios that hadn't even been proposed. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez's quantum communication systems came to life. The ships began to demonstrate capabilities that seemed to rewrite the fundamental understanding of space travel. They could instantaneously redistribute energy, reconfigure their molecular structure, and communicate with a speed and depth that made existing galactic communication networks look primitive. A series of simulated scenarios began to play out. Environmental challenges that would disable most ships became mere data points for the human fleet. Gravitational anomalies, radiation storms, quantum interference. Each potential threat was met not with resistance, but with adaptive response. The Arconian representative's crystalline form began to dim, a sign of profound uncertainty among their species. This was not a display of aggression. This was a demonstration of potential. Chen's voice cut through the stunned silence. "What you're witnessing is not a weapon," she stated calmly. "This is an invitation to reimagine what is possible when we approach technology as a collaborative, adaptive system." The fleet continued its mesmerizing display. Ships merged and separated with a fluidity that seemed to defy known physics. Energy systems pulsed and redistributed with a speed that suggested intelligence far beyond traditional artificial systems. Each movement was a statement, a complex language of technological potential. Diplomatic translators struggled to capture the nuance of what was unfolding. This was more than a technological demonstration. This was a fundamental challenge to how advanced civilizations understood space exploration, communication, and potential. As the demonstration concluded, the chamber remained in stunned silence. The human fleet had just rewritten the understanding of what was possible, not through aggression, but through pure, unadulterated innovation. Admiral Chen allowed herself the slightest hint of a smile. The galaxy would never be the same. The aftermath of the fleet demonstration rippled through galactic scientific and diplomatic circles like a quantum wave of unprecedented potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of a storm of technological inquiry, her research team suddenly the most sought-after group of scientists in known space. In a secured research facility orbiting Jupiter, the team continued to unpack the deeper implications of their breakthrough technologies. Holographic displays danced with complex quantum matrices, revealing layers of innovation that most alien civilizations couldn't even begin to comprehend. "It's not just about the individual technologies," Dr. Rodriguez explained to a group of international scientific advisors. "It's about the fundamental approach to technological development." She manipulated a holographic projection of the fleet's communication systems, showing how each ship functioned as both an individual unit and part of a larger living network. The quantum-linked communication system was perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of human technology. Where other civilizations relied on traditional transmission methods, humans had developed a system that was more akin to a living, breathing organism. Information didn't just move. It adapted, evolved, and responded in real time. Dr. Marcus Chen, the team's quantum computing specialist, demonstrated the system's capabilities. A holographic representation showed how each ship could instantaneously redistribute energy, reconfigure its molecular structure, and communicate with unprecedented depth and speed. "We've essentially created a technological ecosystem," he explained, "not a collection of machines, but a living, responsive network." The energy management systems were equally groundbreaking. Traditional spacecraft relied on linear power distribution, a fundamentally inefficient approach that limited maneuverability and responsiveness. The human fleet's energy systems could redistribute power with such precision that each ship became virtually indestructible, absorbing and redirecting potential challenges in microseconds. Nearby, a team of materials scientists worked on the adaptive hull technology. Inspired by biological systems, the ship's exterior could change its molecular structure in response to environmental challenges. Radiation. The hull would redistribute and absorb energy. Micrometeorite impacts. The surface would momentarily become harder than diamond, then return to its original state. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo pulled up a series of comparative charts. The difference between human technology and existing galactic standards was not incremental. It was exponential. "We're not just improving existing technologies," she noted. "We're fundamentally reimagining what technology can be." The Interstellar Scientific Council began sending discrete communication requests. Preliminary reports suggested that human technological capabilities had leapfrogged decades, if not centuries, of existing technological paradigms. What had been presented as a fleet demonstration was now understood as a fundamental challenge to existing technological understanding. "Our approach is collaborative," Dr. Rodriguez would later explain in a groundbreaking interstellar symposium. "Technology is not about dominance. It's about potential. It's about solving problems in ways no one has yet imagined." The quantum communication network was particularly revolutionary. Ships could now communicate in ways that transcended traditional understanding of information transfer. It wasn't just about sending data, it was about creating a living, responsive network that could adapt, learn, and evolve in real time. Materials science teams had developed hull technologies that seemed to blur the line between technology and living systems. Inspired by everything from deep-sea organism adaptations to quantum mechanical principles, these ships could heal themselves, adapt to environmental challenges, and respond with a level of intelligence that defied traditional understanding. As the scientific community began to process the implications, one thing became clear: humanity had not just developed a fleet. They had presented an entirely new paradigm of technological potential, an approach that saw technology not as a tool of control, but as a collaborative, adaptive system of endless possibility. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity was leading the way. The Diplomatic Simulation Center on Europa became ground zero for humanity's most innovative approach to interstellar strategy. Unlike traditional military academies that focused on confrontation, this facility was a complex ecosystem of interdisciplinary thinking, where diplomats, scientists, cultural anthropologists, and systems theorists worked in perfect synchronization. Admiral Sarah Chen walked through the holographic training environment, her eyes scanning the intricate scenarios unfolding around her. Here, potential interstellar challenges were not met with aggressive posturing, but with a multidimensional approach that redefined the very concept of strategic thinking. Dr. Camille Nowak, the center's lead strategic systems analyst, pulled up a complex holographic display. "Our approach isn't about defeating an opponent," he explained to a group of international strategists. "It's about understanding the entire systemic context of any potential challenge." The human strategic model was revolutionary. Where other civilizations saw diplomatic and potential confrontational scenarios as linear problems to be solved through direct intervention, humans approached each situation as a complex, adaptive ecosystem. Each potential scenario was analyzed through multiple lenses: cultural, technological, economic, and ecological. A training simulation began to unfold. What looked like a potential interstellar dispute quickly became a masterclass in adaptive diplomacy. The human strategic team didn't just respond to the immediate challenge. They anticipated underlying motivations, cultural contexts, and long-term systemic implications. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had transitioned from her technological research to strategic systems analysis, demonstrated the approach. Every challenge is an opportunity for mutual understanding, she explained. The holographic display showed how human strategists could instantaneously access and analyze vast amounts of cultural, historical, and contextual data. The fleet's communication systems were integral to this approach. Each ship was more than a technological marvel. It was a potential diplomatic instrument. Quantum communication networks could instantaneously translate, analyze, and provide contextual understanding that went far beyond traditional communication methods. Training scenarios became increasingly complex. A potential resource dispute between two alien civilizations was transformed from a potential point of conflict into a collaborative problem-solving exercise. The human strategic approach didn't seek to impose a solution. It sought to create a framework for mutual understanding. Captain Aisha Chen, no relation to Admiral Sarah Chen, led a training module on adaptive diplomatic intervention. Our strength is not in showing power, she explained to a group of young strategic analysts, but in demonstrating potential for mutual growth. The Strategic Center had developed an approach that was fundamentally different from traditional military thinking. Each potential scenario was approached as a complex system of interconnected challenges. Cultural understanding, technological innovation, and diplomatic creativity were seen as primary strategic tools, far more powerful than any traditional concept of force. Holographic displays showed how human strategists could instantaneously map out potential long-term implications of any diplomatic or systemic challenge. Economic systems, cultural dynamics, technological potential, all were analyzed with a depth and breadth that left traditional strategic approaches obsolete. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, who had transitioned from quantum physics to strategic systems analysis, demonstrated a particularly complex scenario. It's about seeing the entire system, he explained. The holographic display showed how a potential resource dispute could be transformed into a collaborative technological and economic opportunity. The strategic approach was essentially a form of systemic problem-solving that went far beyond traditional diplomatic methods. Each challenge was an opportunity for mutual growth, for understanding, for expanding the collective potential of different civilizations. As the training simulation concluded, it became clear that humanity had developed something far more powerful than a fleet. They had created a new approach to understanding, to communication, to potential. The galaxy was about to learn that true strength was not about domination, but about collaborative potential. The grand chambers of the Interstellar Council underwent a transformation that no one could have predicted. What had once been a rigid forum of established galactic powers now became a dynamic space of genuine dialogue, with humanity at its center. Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself seated on the highest diplomatic council, not as a token representative, but as a genuine strategic partner. Her presence represented more than individual achievement. It symbolized a fundamental shift in how advanced civilizations approached collective problem-solving. The Arconian Crystalline Confederation, once the most dismissive of human potential, now sought humanity's insights on complex systemic challenges. Their representative, Zorik Prime, had undergone a remarkable transformation. Where once there was condescension, now there was genuine curiosity. Humanity has demonstrated a capacity for adaptive thinking that challenges our entire conceptual framework, Zorik Prime announced during a pivotal council session. The statement, translated across dozens of linguistic matrices, carried a weight of genuine respect. The diplomatic breakthrough wasn't about military might or territorial expansion. It was about a fundamentally different approach to understanding complex systemic challenges. Humanity had shown that true influence came from collaborative potential, not aggressive posturing. Dr. Marcus Chen presented a comprehensive analysis of how human interdisciplinary approaches could resolve long-standing resource distribution challenges across multiple star systems. His presentation was a masterclass in systemic thinking, showing how technological innovation, cultural understanding, and adaptive strategy could transform seemingly impossible challenges. The Velox Confederation's lead diplomat, Lyra Kai, who had once mocked human potential, now became one of humanity's most vocal supporters. They do not seek to conquer, she explained to her own governmental councils. They seek to understand. And in that understanding, they create possibilities we had never imagined. Diplomatic protocols began to shift. Where previous interactions had been formulaic and rigid, human representatives introduced adaptive communication frameworks that allowed for more nuanced dynamic exchanges. Translation systems evolved from mere language conversion to complex cultural interpretation mechanisms. Admiral Sarah Chen's appointment to the Interstellar Strategic Advisory Board was more than a personal achievement. It represented a fundamental restructuring of how advanced civilizations approached collective security and exploration. Her approach emphasized collaborative potential over competitive strategies. The human approach to diplomatic and strategic challenges became a subject of intense study across multiple civilizations. Academic institutions across the galaxy began developing new interdisciplinary programs inspired by human methodological approaches. Cultural exchange programs flourished, with young representatives from dozens of species seeking to understand the human perspective. Technological innovation centers began adopting human-inspired collaborative models. The rigid hierarchical structures that had dominated research and development for centuries gave way to more dynamic, interconnected approaches. Quantum communication networks developed by human researchers became the new standard for interstellar information exchange. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo found herself leading a comprehensive review of interstellar scientific collaboration protocols. Her team's approach emphasized shared discovery over competitive research models. Scientific breakthroughs were no longer seen as individual achievements, but as collective human potential. The transformation was profound and subtle. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through traditional means. They had reimagined what collective potential could look like. Each diplomatic interaction, each technological breakthrough, each collaborative effort became a statement about a fundamentally different way of understanding interstellar relationships. As the Interstellar Council session concluded, it became clear that something remarkable had occurred. Humanity had not just earned a place at the table, they had fundamentally redesigned the table itself. The galaxy was learning a new language of potential, and humanity was its most eloquent translator. The Galactic Convergence Summit marked a turning point in interstellar relations. Held on the neutral research station orbiting the quantum nexus of the Andromeda Arm, it represented something unprecedented in known galactic history, a truly collaborative approach to collective challenges. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the main conference chamber, her presentation a masterpiece of interdisciplinary thinking. Behind her, holographic displays showed a comprehensive overview of humanity's approach to systemic problem-solving. It was more than a technological presentation. It was a blueprint for a new way of understanding collective potential. The assembled representatives from over 50 different civilizations listened with a combination of curiosity and profound respect. Where previous summits had been exercises in diplomatic posturing, this gathering represented a fundamental reimagining of interstellar cooperation. Admiral Sarah Chen unveiled the most revolutionary aspect of humanity's contribution, a comprehensive framework for collaborative exploration and resource management. The proposal went far beyond traditional diplomatic models. It was a living, adaptive system that could respond to complex systemic challenges in real time. Representatives from the Arconian Crystalline Confederation and the Velox Confederation, once the most dismissive of human potential, now sat as collaborative partners. Zorik Prime, the lead Arconian delegate, spoke with genuine enthusiasm. Humanity has demonstrated that true potential lies not in competitive achievement, but in collective understanding, the crystalline being translated across multiple communication matrices. The technological innovations were breathtaking. Quantum communication networks developed by human researchers had become the standard for interstellar information exchange. These networks were more than communication tools. They were adaptive systems that could interpret cultural nuance, provide contextual understanding, and facilitate unprecedented levels of collaborative potential. Dr. Marcus Chen presented a comprehensive analysis of how human interdisciplinary approaches could resolve long-standing resource distribution challenges across multiple star systems. His presentation demonstrated an approach that saw challenges not as problems to be conquered, but as opportunities for mutual growth and understanding. The summit's most profound moment came when the Interstellar Council officially designated humanity as a catalyst species, a classification that had never before been used. It recognized humanity's unique capacity to transform systemic challenges through innovative thinking, collaborative potential, and adaptive strategy. Cultural exchange programs flourished. Young representatives from dozens of species sought to understand the human perspective, not through traditional academic study, but through immersive, collaborative experiences. Universities across the galaxy began developing interdisciplinary programs inspired by human methodological approaches. Technological innovation centers adopted collaborative models that emphasized shared discovery over competitive research. The rigid hierarchical structures that had dominated research and development for centuries gave way to more dynamic, interconnected approaches. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo led a comprehensive review of interstellar scientific collaboration protocols. Her team's approach emphasized shared discovery, demonstrating that true innovation came from collective potential rather than individual achievement. The human fleet, once viewed as a potential threat, was now understood as a collaborative instrument of exploration and understanding. Each ship was more than a technological marvel. They were adaptive diplomatic platforms, capable of responding to complex challenges with unprecedented creativity and depth. As the summit concluded, it became clear that humanity had done something remarkable. They had not conquered the galaxy through traditional means of aggression or territorial expansion. Instead, they had reimagined what collective potential could look like. Dr. Rodriguez's closing statement captured the essence of this new paradigm. Our strength, she explained, lies not in our ability to dominate, but in our capacity to understand. Every challenge is an opportunity for mutual growth. Every difference is a chance for collective innovation. The galaxy had found a new language of potential, and humanity was its most eloquent translator. The stars themselves seemed to listen, waiting to see what would come next.